Welcome to the Game Deflators Podcast, episode 51. My name's John, and Ryan won't let me do the next part of this intro. Take it away, Ryan.
Hey, everybody. Here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and hold on. Look at me. Now smile, say cheese.
Cheese.
For the Inflation Deflation Challenge. What you got this week, John?
This week, dude, some cool pickups. So, I think what was it? Last week I told you I picked up a couple Xbox 360 controllers.
Yeah.
For like $5. Mm-hmm. Took those Xbox 360 controllers to GameStop.
Yeah.
Turned that $5 into $26.
Ah.
Took some random 360 controllers I had sitting in my garage. Turned that into $26. And then that turned into Digimon World Next Coder, Death's Gambit, Dead Cells, and Concrete Genie.
That's a pretty good turnaround. Have you ever run into this kind of situation before where you've got like a mass of controllers lying around or something specific? Was this like a special deal GameStop was doing right now for controllers? Or that's just their base price anyways?
That was their base price, shockingly enough. So I called up like different retro stores because my thought was, let me go into like one of our retro stores here and see if they'll kind of match the GameStop price in trades. So I called up and they're like, no, we'll give you $5. Oh, we'll give you $8. And I'm like, GameStop's offering me $12, so I'm going to just go to GameStop and just buy some next-gen games. I have run into this before. So years ago, I picked up a massive Xbox 360 collection. And there were some PS2 games in there as well, maybe a couple PS3. And it was from a guy I knew that ran a pawn shop. He's like, here's a bunch of crap I'm never going to sell. Come and take it off my hands. I'll give it all to you like 25 cents a game. He's like, I just got to get rid of it out of pawn shop. So I took all that off his hands and turned that into like $60 or $70. And I might have spent $20 at the time. So I've done this in the past. GameStop's usually not too picky. I will tell you, though, this was the dumbest thing. So one of the joysticks had like some crud or something underneath. And the girl looks at me and says, well, it works, but we got to put it out as defective and we can't give you like the full amount because of this stuff here. I'm like, I can literally clean that right now. And she's like, well, I'm going to have to take it as defect. I'm like, how about this? You take the 3 controllers that are good to go. I'm going to run to my car and wipe it down with some Armor All that I have in my car. I wiped it down, came back, and she's like, yeah, it looks good. Okay, here's your full money. I'm like, really? It took me 5 minutes to clean it.
Well, hey, that's 5 minutes of work she didn't want to do.
5 minutes of work no, I mean, GameStop Corporate would have done it. And then the other thing I picked up, I went to a Goodwill, and they happen to have a Hydro Thunder. And I didn't know this, but they have a student discount at Goodwill.
I did not know that either.
It was like 25% off.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So picked up Hydro Thunder on the N64, and that was a nice little price point there.
There you go. Good haul.
Good haul this week. I'm super excited about Concrete Genie. I think we should tackle that next week.
Yeah, you mentioned that. We may end up doing a new game for once.
Yeah, we had to close out our Halloween month, or
spooky month.
But yeah, I think that'll be a really cool one. I'm seeing on an outline here that I am going to be very, very disappointed with your week, Ryan.
Yeah, as always, I have nothing to show for myself this week. I didn't buy anything and I didn't play anything. It's
okay. You do the
lot going on.
You
this
do
week.
the layout of our actual like podcast. You know what we're going to be talking about.
Hey, and no matter what, I get to come here and play one game a week.
Exactly that,
and it's always a new game.
Exactly.
Well, not a new game. Next week it will be a new game.
Well, half the time it's like a newish game for me too.
Right.
Well, and the other thing is you do our introduction of games we recently picked up. So, I mean, that right there in itself, that's perfect.
Minimum effort, people. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
And a successful friend.
Did you play anything?
I really didn't. Not even iPad games this week. This week I've just been doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
I got a way of playing maybe about an hour of Arkham City. I can't even tell you where I'm at in the game. I got past Harley Quinn, and then I ended up within some building, and there was a giant clown with a sledgehammer on his back. And then, I found Joker. That's what it was. I found Joker, and he drugged me, and then that's pretty much where I stopped at that point, I think. I don't remember. But it's the very beginning. So if you've played Arkham City, you kind of get an idea on where I'm at. I just met Harley Quinn for the first time. Well, not met her, but, seen her. And then Joker drugged me, and they put me in a building, and I fought a clown with a giant sledgehammer. That's about where I'm at. So... But it's still pretty cool. I played Arkham Asylum, and I really liked that game.
Yeah, I really like that one, too.
Yeah, Arkham City's pretty cool so far. I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm a big Batman fan. So ultimately, this is a pretty cool game to go into, and it brings that whole like Batverse into perspective and really kind of gets you engaged in the overall.
Do you like it more than? I mean, because we played Spider-Man, and then you're choosing this over Spider-Man.
You mean a new Spider-Man?
Yeah, because we'd already played that one. You could have easily just picked that up and started that instead of this. What made you go with Arkham?
Because my wife is playing Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she saw us playing that little bit and was like, I need to play this now. So and I don't even think she's played it this week, but that's her game that she's currently playing. And then the two of us are supposed to be playing Zack and Wiki. And we actually haven't played that at all this week. We just had a crazy busy week and just haven't had a chance to do it. Tons of landscaping in the yard and housework that need to get done.
Yep.
So you know how it is, dude. Well, that being said, let's jump into some articles, man.
So this week we've got a lot of stuff, and we're gonna go on a journey into the news. So this week we had an article by Alex Gibson at Twinfinite. Fallout's worst feature rears its ugly head in the Outer Worlds. So in this article, he's talking about he has a lot of good things to say about Outer Worlds, which is mostly what I've heard. I've heard almost nothing but praise about Outer Worlds. This is the first time I've seen a criticism, and he's criticizing not necessarily the game as a whole, but just kind of this type of game in its genre. Like there's this certain element to these types of RPGs where you understand you're going to be doing a lot of quests, and a lot of those quests are not really going to be deep, meaningful quests. For the most part, a lot of RPGs have very similar quest structures. You've got like fetch quests, go here and kill this number of things quest, which is kind of the same thing. It's a lot of run around and do stuff for people, and then you feel like you're in a world being everybody's errand boy while also being the hero. Like the hero should be helping people, but I've never played it, but I've always heard really good things about The Witcher 3's side quests. Like it has side quests that are of importance and well written and go on their own thing, and it could be almost as good as another game's main plot. That's what I've heard from people. So don't I just think that the one part where he kind of falls short in here is that he talks right in the article about how this is not forward thinking like New Vegas was, but New Vegas came out so long ago that I could see what he's saying, that even though this is the same team that did New Vegas, they're not pushing it forward like New Vegas pushed it forward. They're kind of just staying at that status quo. And as much as it is, a comfort food RPG, it is just kind of what you expect. Like I get the idea of pushing boundaries, but I think it was really safe for them to reuse the structure that everybody wanted and give them a game that is better than the last couple Fallout experiences. And the way they released it, I have nothing but good stuff to say about that. So I think this was a really good establishing, all right, let's do this, and then let's push this as our franchise. And hopefully they will learn better for next time and be able to do something innovative again.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the game crashing and things flying around, so that's good, right? I agree with you, dude, in every point that you made. A lot of these games, especially Fallout 3, for example, when I played that, it was not only buggy, but you ran into, it was just, you had brought up when we were talking earlier, like you walk into a building and, okay, I've got to complete my quest, right? I've got to find like two Nuka-Cola or something like that, and I have to take it to X individual. And like you're just going in there and you're battling the same creatures every single time. You're facing the same exact type of obstacles, and it's just like rinse and repeat the entire flipping game. And while I haven't played this yet, I want to, and I really hope it amounts to not a lot of the same reused items. Like, one of the things I loved about Fallout 3, because that really is the one that I played the most, being able to go into like the Nuka-Cola plant, right? And being able to explore that and go through every crevice and try it. Like, that was a really cool experience. Like, there's certain areas in that game that were super cool experiences. But going through the flipping subway system and dealing with ghouls constantly,
Yeah.
and the same crap that you just had every single waking moment of that game, it was just so long and drawn out that I just kind of got tired of it. I went from exploring a game to just kind of saying, all right, I'm done exploring. Let me just go through the story at this point.
And I think that a big bonus here, in favor of the way these games are, these, comfort food RPGs, like he says in the article, is that, I've done Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4, and I'm hesitant to get into this because I know it's going to be that same thing again, but a lot of people like that same thing again, and there's nothing wrong with getting invested in that if that's the kind of game that you want to play right now. And it's great to have that option, and it's great to have that option offered by somebody who's willing to do way more for you, the buyer. I mean, this game was released as a full, complete game with minimal bugs, not even a definitive edition, no gold platinum edition,
No backpacks
no
for
early access, no
backpacks that'll take 2 months to get in and be crap.
Yeah. No nylon bags.
Looking at you, Game Grinder.
Yeah, and not even a cosmetic only shop that eventually sells more than cosmetics. Like, they just made a game and released a game, and it's to be praised in this day, honestly, to have something like this just come out and just work and just be exactly what you want it to be. And
it is kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
in a sense.
hopefully it'll be enough to push forward and get them to innovate on those things like he's talking about.
Yeah, what I really hope is that companies like Bethesda and other larger organizations that create and develop games, I really hope they look at this and this becomes a very successful franchise, and they take that and say, you know what, if we put a product like that out and we had it fully complete and fleshed out and there were minimal bugs and we actually took our time to do it correctly, we could be reaping profits as well. And maybe like something like this, while to your point, while it's kind of that same thing and it's been done numerous times, it's being done right. And if this can be a model for other companies to push something out right and reap the benefits of it from the consumers.
Yeah.
So
it's nice to have something non-predatory on the shelves.
Speaking of predatory and not looking at the consumer interest, Blizzard is in the news yet again.
So we've got a lot of stuff with Blizzard. So first off, anybody who doesn't know, BlizzCon is happening this weekend. That's November 1st. So if you're hearing this before then, hey, if you're there, tell people about us. Let them know that you can find us anywhere online, the Game Deflators, except for Twitter, because they can't handle it's just Game Deflators on Twitter. But find us anywhere else. Tell us what you're most excited about at BlizzCon. If you're going to BlizzCon, send us some pictures. Enjoy it.
And if you heard this after BlizzCon, still tell all your friends.
Yeah,
and give us 5-star reviews.
Still do that and tell us how good and or bad it went, because who knows what's going to happen.
Exactly. So the article that we read, super small article, but this one is Kotaku. It's Luke Plunkett, which I want to say that we've actually had an article of his before. Maybe. And it's pretty much just talking about the fact that Blizzard just lost another sponsor, and that one being Mitsubishi. So Mitsubishi was, I guess, a huge sponsor for their larger gaming events, like Hearthstone and such. And they were saying that a lot of the casters and such that generally had like Mitsubishi cars and products and everything around them for promotional purposes no longer have that. And Mitsubishi
logos and such, removed. And this is all in the backlash of what happened with Blitzchung and his protest against, or his in favor of the protesting in Hong Kong. So it's interesting to see, Blizzard's now losing money because of their actions to try to save money in the Chinese market, and having been condemned by a bipartisan front in Congress to uphold American values. That's a lot of heat coming at Blizzard right before their biggest time of the year.
Well, what's interesting, I had to pull it up because I was really curious. Activision Blizzard as of today was up $1.87, and over the last 3 months they're up $6.97. Last month over $3.30, and over the last year they're down $9.79 over last year.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that in this situation, there's actually a lot that you can draw between Blizzard and Bethesda, because they're both these real beloved, like people love Bethesda. They love the games that Bethesda has brought out, and they've been a really strong fan base kind of thing, and Blizzard has that in spades, probably more than any other company. And it's just, no matter how bad they do, I mean, Fallout is offering that $100 a year thing, and they flubbed that. And these companies, they keep bargaining on all this goodwill that they've got built up from these longtime fans, and I feel like now we're starting to get to a point where things are starting to get let down. Like, let's not forget last year at BlizzCon with the Diablo Immortal announcement. You all have cell phones, don't you? Look it up.
I think we had talked about that too, actually.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that game's still not out. Like, as unpopular an idea as it was, and the backlash they got, they still haven't even finished it. It's still not even released. I had to double check today because I was like, surely it's out, and I just don't mobile games, so I don't know about it.
I think it even calls out within that article. It's either that or in the next one we're going to talk about that they're supposed to be announcing Diablo 4.
I mean,
they haven't even finished the other one.
Well, that's basically all that they can do to earn themselves goodwill, because just like that, at E3, Bethesda had that teaser of Skyrim, or, Elder Scrolls 6, and it was just like a sweeping vista that had nothing to do with the game. It was just a landscape and a title, and it's
I remember that.
That game's not even coming until after the next game comes out that they don't even have anything to show you for. So they're trying to bank on all this goodwill, like, hey, we're going to keep making tons of money off of you right now and keep pumping out these games. Now, Blizzard's games are very well polished, so that's different than what Bethesda's doing, but people really wanted Diablo 4, and then they're trying to push this money-making scheme in your face, just like Fallout 76.
So, I was pulling it up just now. So obviously you have Activision Blizzard, right? So they're kind of, while Blizzard is taking a hit, at the same time, stockholders probably don't have that much. They probably don't care too much. Stock's risen primarily because the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, now obviously it's a reboot, really, $600 million opening weekend. What I'm reading here. I mean, come on. You made nearly $1 billion in an opening weekend for a game. Of course your stock's going to go up.
I mean, and that's fine. I've heard good enough things about that game. It's just not something I'm interested in anymore because I just don't have time to throw at like a shooter right now. But I'm not arguing that they don't make good games. I'm just saying that, these are two companies that are kind of both in situations where all eyes are kind of on them to do certain things at this point in the industry, and I feel like they keep letting down the people who care the most, and that's what I hate, seeing the fans get let down by these companies. So they better do a really good job this weekend at BlizzCon. They better start to make amends for this stuff, because if they're losing financial support from, companies, people care more than companies do. But if the companies start to leave, that shows that there's not a lot of faith from the other side. So why should we have faith?
And honestly, if Blizzard was its own entity and it wasn't like Activision Blizzard, I could see this whole thing just blowing them up to the point where like sales would be completely dropping and everything else. But like I said, the fact that they have Activision Blizzard, that's
they make
the only
a ton
reason.
of money off of all their loot boxes in Overwatch. They've got Overwatch 2 might be coming. Diablo 4 might be coming. Those would be huge hits. I'm actually really interested to see what happens to all the Overwatch players switching to Overwatch 2 and all the money they invested in those microtransactions. Because from what I understand, like with the sports games that come out every year, if you unlock somebody last year and it cost you $80 to get that person, I think you have to pay $80 again the next year to get them in the sequel, because I don't think
it would be nice.
I don't think
if
it just transfers through like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they allowed that, kind of like the old .hack games where you could take every item and everything else and hook your memory card up and transfer to the next game and the next game.
Well, and it's all online stuff. Like, I think that it's something Overwatch's size, like, and the amount of money people have invested in. I think that they owe it to the community as a good gesture to, like, hey, all that money you spent on this game, because it wasn't a free game. You had to buy Overwatch to play it to begin with. So all that extra money you dumped in, like, that should give you something in the future, you know?
It's one of the reasons I don't play new games half the time, dude. Like, I'm honestly, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm playing a game like an Overwatch, getting super addicted to it, pumping in money, and then we don't know for sure because they haven't talked about it yet. If you can transfer stuff, we don't know that until they announce it and have more discussions over it. But if you aren't able to transfer everything you purchased in Overwatch 1 to an extent, or even maybe get a credit towards other items, that's a little ridiculous.
Well, we'll see what'll happen.
Yeah, we'll see. So next article that you had, dude, it was PC gamer Andy Chalk, and it's about Blizzard confirming the departure of former Hearthstone Heroes of the Storm directors.
Yeah, so this was it says that it happened a little while ago, but
yeah,
it's been
like
confirmed
2 or 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah, they released, a message about it, but it was StarCraft 2 lead designer and Heroes of the Storm game director Dustin Browder, former Hearthstone director Eric Dodds, and former Hearthstone production director Jason Chase. And, those are, I'm not super familiar, so I don't know those names, but they, they're big names. These are important roles in these ongoing, powerful titles that, Hearthstone's huge. Heroes of the Storm was kind of big, but then Blizzard themselves cut the knees out of that and destroyed the esports community by pulling their support for it. So there's just a lot of stuff in this that directly speaks to not only are, the fans mad at the company and pulling support, not only are, supporting advertising companies pulling support, but within their own corporate structure, important people are leaving.
Yeah, and, well, it does mention it was a few months ago, so this could have been premeditated career change. We don't truly know what the article's trying to pinpoint on here.
This is true.
So, especially when this is a couple months ago. This has been going on for a little bit, and there could have been other problems of any organization that led them out. And that could have just been kind of the, cherry on the top, like, all right, all the Hong Kong stuff, we're out. We're kind of done with this. But from what I read in the article, it actually does mention that these guys are pretty high profile within Blizzard itself in terms of development. So it is kind of a big loss for them. But it's not like they can't be replaced. And there's going to be people that want that Blizzard job and are okay working for a company that's doing what they're doing.
Yeah, Blizzard gives you the opportunity to keep several franchises really steamrolling. Now, until they come out with something new,
StarCraft 3
is
0.5.
But like there's just this whole built-in base. Like anybody who gets in at Blizzard has a built-in base to work around and these franchises to keep churning out, and it's not the same as like working at Activision and churning out the same Call of Duty every year. Keep Hearthstone moving, keep people interested in Overwatch, keep people interested in StarCraft, all those things.
So I had to Google it. I'm sorry, dude. StarCraft 3 is apparently being announced at BlizzCon 2019 and will debut early 2020.
There's lots of rumors. We'll find out what's actually happening when we see, what goes down this weekend. But, a lot of stuff Blizzard really in the eye.
I want to see if they have protests at BlizzCon.
That's what a lot of people are speculating.
Yeah, there'll probably be some protests outside. Maybe something happens inside. It'll really be interesting to see from a political standpoint what occurs with BlizzCon. Not even just the gaming portion alone and what occurs.
Yeah.
And then also Diablo 4, I wonder if that's going to just be a PC thing for a little bit, or if they're going to go the route of obviously releasing on consoles. And then with StarCraft 3, I kind of wonder if they're going to go back to putting it on consoles, because initially they had it on N64 years ago. I would love to see StarCraft make a return to like the Nintendo Switch. I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so enough about Blizzard, sir.
Enough Blizzard.
Enough Blizzard. And more bad news for everyone. Sony,
I don't think it's really bad news for everyone.
More bad news for like the less than 1 million people that had it. PlayStation Vue TV service is going to be shutting down.
If you're one of the few people out there using PlayStation Vue TV, move on
to Netflix and
or
other
something.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's
something successful.
Yeah, this was Dade Hayes at Deadline, and this is something that I feel very one way about this. I don't prefer to do any of my watching on my PlayStation. Since I have apps in my smart TV, I'll just use those. People have Fire Stick, people have Google
Roku boxes and all that. Yeah.
Google and a lot of TVs just have, what is that, casting?
Yeah, mine has it's an Android TV with the Google Play Store. Like I can download pretty much anything on there. Crackle, Sony television,
so I
HBO.
think in this day and age where we've talked about this time and time again, that piecemeal trying to sell you all the stuff out there, I think it's smart of Sony to bow out of that race and try to make it, let everybody else do that. Focus on your games, do what you're good at. But at the same time, I almost wonder if this idea of your console being your media hub is kind of in the past. Like they really pushed that with like the 360 and like the PS3. PS3 had the Blu-ray.
The Xbox One was like
supposed to be
one.
everything in one. That's the whole idea with that. But I just think that I don't need the cumbersomeness of using the console to access the stuff that I want to watch. I feel like it's never the fastest way. I don't feel like it's the easiest to navigate to get to the things that I want to, watch. And I wonder if they couldn't save money focusing more on just being a gaming a gaming platform again. Like the idea that the Switch launched with, I don't even think YouTube, and now it's got like YouTube and Hulu and Netflix. It's starting to build up all these apps, but that's not my preferred platform for watching either. So I don't know how much it costs for them to get invested with these other companies to provide these services.
I don't necessarily think it costs them anything. I think at the end of the day, those companies like a Netflix or Hulu are probably paying Nintendo and Sony to have their product on that console. I think there's got to be contracts and stuff on the back end to say, hey, we want to put Netflix on, your TV.
Well, but I mean, as far as like, I guess development, like building your hardware to be able to accommodate streaming video services, like if you could save money on that, I would buy a console that doesn't have any multimedia capabilities and is more of like an older generation console where it just does what it does, and that's why I want it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into the technical components because somebody will probably just
people know way more than we do about this.
Throw me to the side, but I think the consoles nowadays are just built in a sense that it's inherently going to be able to do that anyways.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the exposure from a Netflix standpoint. But to your point, I'm not playing my Switch and turning it on to play Netflix or Hulu.
Well, and I understand some people do. Some people only really have one source.
But then why not have a Wii? Like,
well, no, but I mean, like there's definitely somebody out there who has a PS4, and that's their everything. They don't have a
smart TV
that streams stuff. So
yeah.
I'm not knocking people that's your only option.
Well, like
I'm just saying that in today's age, I think that the options are so abundant that the View not being around, I don't really think anybody's going to mourn the loss of something like that. I think it was kind of a good idea that they pursued, but they got beat out by the market.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think there necessarily was an opportunity for them to even really crack that market. Netflix has been around for years, and this has been on, what, three years they've had this in the market?
It was like 2015?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years in a market, and you've got Netflix, who's been around since I was in like middle school, doing like DVD rentals, via mail. So I don't think this is a huge loss for Sony, and I really would applaud them more than anything for really just understanding it. We're not good at this. Not to say not good at this, but we're not making any money off this. It's a waste of our time. We need to refocus our efforts on things that we're really good at, and that's putting out high quality games and content and making great products in terms of electronics.
Well,
I'm happy they're doing this.
Yeah,
I don't see it as a negative.
Yeah, this is a great move for them. And I don't see a lot of this kind of stuff coming out of Microsoft for Xbox. I don't think that they really had anything like this. I know they're kicking ass with the Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that. They're really pushing that, but PS Now is pretty good. So they've got their own places to compete. So if Xbox already wasn't, didn't already have this side thing going on and didn't have to cancel? Why try to do something that they're not doing that's going to be unsuccessful?
Yeah, I mean,
shave
Sony
that part
just-
off and just compete directly.
Yeah, and Sony just announced, I think it was their stock is going. I should have bought some actually. They're currently sitting at like $61 a share, and their stock's actually gone up pretty high recently. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're forecasting great numbers for their PlayStation 4 console, even towards the end of its life cycle, and a whole brand new console. I think they're cracking. They're saying they're going to hit about 104 to 110 million consoles globally. I mean, that's crazy, dude. Especially in this day and age where people are saying that physical media of games is dead. And now we're going all
there's
streaming.
so much on offer with those digital services too, like PlayStation Now.
Yeah, exactly. So you have your PlayStation Now, no longer PlayStation View, but kind of a segue back a little bit. I do use my PS4 for certain types of streaming items.
I only use it for Twitch. My TV doesn't have Twitch.
I only use it for HBO Go because I don't have HBO Go on my TV. So those are little things that I can understand where you would have that benefit of having it on a PlayStation 4, but. Again, the PlayStation View, it's just a streaming service for the most part.
Yeah.
I can get Netflix and be okay. And I think it was cheaper, as a matter of fact. So, well, there's a lot of news, man. I don't know how I'm going to title this episode.
Yeah, right. Lots going on out in the world. And, we're happy that you're here to hear it from us. And we're telling you where we heard it from. So, that we didn't make the news by any means, but we're glad that you're listening to us getting the news.
And we will link it as always. Now, I was so excited to cap off our spooky month with this. We should have done more games like this. We really should have at the end of the day.
We could have spookied harder this month.
You realize how many horror games I actually own that we could have gone through?
Hey, save it for next year, John. Don't give away all the secrets.
I've got like 10 years of horror games here.
Sweet. 10 more years,
of
people.
The Game Deflators.
You hear that?
Yeah.
10 more years.
We'll see how that goes. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that'd be awesome. 10 years. Episode 500 and something.
Right.
So we ended up picking up Fatal Frame. Well, we didn't pick it up. I've had it for a while. I bought Fatal Frame 2, Fatal Frame 1 and 3, and Persona 2 from my good friend Leaping Lizard Cosplay. So I will tag her as well for folks so they can check her out. And she went ahead and sold me this a while back, and it was part of a collection I was telling you about. Yeah. So I picked
Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly.
Yes. So the story of two young Japanese girls in a forest who find their way into a creepy village and follow butterflies.
And ghosts.
And with cameras.
Those meddling kids.
All right, let's get into it, man.
So we
just kind of went over the premise of it.
That's kind of the premise. This was a Tecmo project developed and published by Tecmo, created by Makoto Shibata, released back in 2003, November. So right in time to get your spooks on at the end of November.
I'm so happy that you're the one that butchers the Japanese names and not me.
Well, how did they release this in November? How do you release this in November?
Well, you hype it during Spooky Month, and the people that I don't know why I'm calling it Spooky Month.
All of these games should be released in October. Anyways, it met with wild success. It's like an 8 out of 10. People really enjoyed it. I thought it looked great. As soon as we started the game up, I was like, wow, these are some great PS2 graphics. Like
it reminded me of Eco
good.
and Shadow of Colossus, a lot of those graphics.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's definitely held up. I mean,
it's polished for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a well-polished game. And, I mean, we're playing on is that 1080p or 720?
I think it's 720.
Yeah, we're playing on one of Ryan's old HD TVs that he somehow lured me into keeping. Here at the house. But yeah, so we're playing on that, and usually when we play games like a PlayStation 1 or Dreamcast, you can kind of see that pixelation.
Yeah.
This was super clear.
Super smooth.
Yeah, I was actually pretty stoked. There were some areas where I noticed some jaggies and some different bits on the TV where I'm like, okay, I could see that we're playing this on an HD TV, not what it was meant to be played on. But yeah, it looks great. So let's go into kind of what we did. We obviously entered the spooky village and had a whole situation where her arm touched our shoulder, and the sister walked into the building, and we were like, what the hell's going on here?
And I like that they're not really jump scares. Like all the scares like aren't like just leaping at you and screaming. It's more like just kind of something creepy happening and you see it happening.
From what we know, we only got through, I think it was 45 minutes of a game.
Well, yeah, we didn't play the whole thing, but it was setting me up in a good way. Like, I liked the type of horror that it was pushing. It wasn't like Five Nights at Freddy's horror.
It was like young investigative journalism with a random village. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
Okay.
I was going around picking up old photos and articles and books and trying to figure out where all the dead people went.
Yeah. So the story surrounds in this village there was a ritual night, a festival night, and everybody in the town was murdered, and their ghosts are trapped forever to repeat the same night. And if you get trapped in the town, you'll probably die too. But good thing for these girls, they found the camera obscura, a strange old camera that is come with a instruction manual that tells you, hey, you can take pictures of dead creatures now, or
by touching circle
spirits
and hitting R1.
Yeah, and it also exercises them and bonds them to you when you take their pictures. So whoever went in the first time who owned this camera apparently didn't know how to use it very well. But these little girls, you know, right off the bat, we were snapping selfies with ghosts and having a good time. I feel like a new modern Fatal Frame would be like you have to like line up the selfie and get like the ghost just like perfectly in the background, and then, you know, you go in and apply filters and stuff. I think it would be a much more fun vibe.
And the new game plus has a selfie stick,
right?
Yeah. Actually, they did release a Fatal Frame on, I think it was Wii U. Has a Fatal Frame. It was only released in, I believe it was Japan.
Okay.
I need to get that so badly to just add to my collection.
That makes sense. Look, they're doing it with a spooky game. Where's Pokemon Snap 2? Where is it? It was perfect for it, the Wii U. The Switch is even more perfect for it.
That actually, dude, I want to do that so bad. Like, just being able to like pan around with your Switch and hit the R button on the top and take pictures of Pokemon, that'd be sweet.
Right.
Okay, well, I don't know how much more we need to go into the actual gameplay itself, but you're walking around, taking photos. You obviously have spooky situations where it's a little filament on the bottom right corner starts to glow, and you're like, oh crap, there's a ghost near me. And you pretty much look around. You generally see the ghost, you hit circle, you hit R1, you release her soul, and they're free.
Yeah, and as you go through, I'm assuming there's going to be more of like we took a picture of a spirit, and then when we took a picture of it, it was like, oh, the picture came out as a different place. So we had to go back to where we had seen this brazier before.
It's like a coal brazier, I think. And then when we took a
picture there, then we kind of like put that spirit to rest or something. So it's kind of like, I guess, a different way of questing to go back to earlier. I mean, you know, you're going from one place to the other because you're being directed by the spirits, or, you know, you got to follow the spirits where they're going. So it's, you get the idea. It's not really a very intricate game. As far as we noticed, there is some type of health system. Nothing actually hurt us while we were playing. It seems like it's not really, you know, it's not a survival horror in that sense. Yeah, like, I don't know how much resource management there is. There isn't items. We did only find one item that we picked up that wasn't like a key item. It was
medicine.
Yeah, so you know, it may have those elements, and we just didn't really get to see what it was firsthand.
And the medicine said on there that it increases your strength. So that would lead me to believe that you probably do come into contact with some of these spirits, and it's slow. I would say it probably slows you down, if anything, to where you're not being able to move as fast in the game. That's what I would probably gauge it at. And I hadn't played this series before. I've always wanted to, so this is actually a pretty cool experience. And I wouldn't play it by myself, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. So let's get into some pricing, sir.
So this game, we're looking at $32.99 right now, complete in box. That peaked back in just this September at $39.88. Right now it's going down. Loose, looking at $24.67, peaked at $42.14 back in February 2008, and it's holding pretty steady right now. Now this is a pretty good looking game, but man, $32.99 completed box, that sounds a little stiff.
Well, I mean, I did just kind of buy it for that $30 price range. But when I bought it, it was sitting at that 39 range that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's dropped since. That's probably why my damn price charting dropped. I had X amount, it just kind of teetered off like $800. It's kind of weird. So, God, man, I'm torn because like it really is a pretty game. It's got a lot like going for it,
and I think it's definitely, you know, I like a good horror game. I like a good spooky month. I think that this would be a fun game to, you know, like sit down with a bunch of people and play on a dark, stormy night, eating some candy and popcorn. That sounds like a good time to me. But I don't know. I think I might be able to do better for that price.
I'd say it's inflated. I'll just be upfront with it.
Is it a particularly hard to find game to your knowledge?
Not really. I mean, it's the Fatal Frame series isn't exactly like a common series. I would say it's not uncommon either, though, in the same respect. I don't know how many copies it sold. Did we look that up? We should probably start adding that stat. Like, how many copies did it actually sell in its lifetime?
Yeah, we could start adding that. But right now, I'm going to go check price charting. Says there's about 1 sale a day.
Yeah,
So that's pretty common.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty common. You'll see games that are 2-3 sales a day. 1 sale a day is
1 sale a
just
day.
average.
I mean, that's abundant. If you can go out and buy it every day, that's abundant.
Yeah, I mean, where you start seeing those games that are higher prices or ones that are like 4 and 5 sales a day, you know, because people are obviously wanting it. Right now, this is a series that there's no new Fatal Frame coming out that we know of anytime soon. So I'd probably be led to believe that it's just kind of getting forgotten in a sense. But you might see a trend at some point in time where somebody's like, oh, yeah, Fatal Frame series. They mention, like, you know, Metal Jesus will mention Fatal Frame series, and there it goes, you know, skyrockets
Yeah, it just
again.
takes somebody like us pushing a narrative, letting you know what's out there still.
So Fatal Frame, buy it. Make John happy so his game can go up in value.
There we go.
So, yeah, I'm going to say $25. If you find it for $25, you got yourself a good
So
game.
you'd get it complete inbox for the loose price right now. Because there's really no sense in spending, you know, $25 if you're not going to get all the stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, loose, I would say like 16 to 18.
Yeah.
I would say $25 if you get a complete in box. It's a great cover. I really actually do enjoy the cover of that game. Is it reversible? Do you have it by you?
No, I don't.
Oh, I got it. Hold on.
But
I'm
I'm
curious.
there are quite a few, a lot of people in here have been buying this game for a little more, in the 40s. There's a couple people in the 50s. And then there's a few in the 20s. I'd say 25 looks like it would be hard to get this game for 25 right now. But if you could get it for 25, I would say that would definitely be worth it.
I lied to myself. It's not a reversible cover.
Good.
That would be pretty sweet. But
I love reversible covers. All my Switch games are inside out.
it's honestly a really cool cover. I mean, it's got the two girls. They're not hanging in the front, but it's got two girls like kind of looking like the Ring on the front, and then the overall like butterfly and such, and the Fatal Frame too. It's just a really cool cover. And that's one that...
Good looking game inside and out.
If you had a poster of that, you would want to hang it up in your house. So, yeah. All right. So, great looking game. 8 out of 10 reception in the past. I'm saying it's overpriced. I'm saying it's probably $8 too much right now. You're at overpriced as well.
Inflated.
How many games have we had that are deflated?
I don't know. We'll have to put together a list.
We need to get
Not
like
many,
some...
though.
Not many, yeah. Well, we have a list. What we should probably do is put what we actually graded them as.
We'll have to go back and edit that.
We'll have to listen to every single one of our episodes and hear ourselves.
Hey, I thought our last episode, our 50th, I thought that sounded really good. I thought we did a good job.
Did you actually listen to it?
Bits and pieces. I skip around.
I have to edit them, so I have to hear us all the time. And I don't do too much editing for the most part. It's just kind of sound quality control. And removing some of those times where I try to interrupt you and you keep talking. So, do we have anything else today?
No, I think that's going to be it. Next week,
Concrete Genie.
We're going to check out and see if it was worth all those Xbox controllers he threw at it.
I think so, dude. And the other 3 games that I got out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and conclude episode 51. Coming at you next week, episode 52. But before I forget, at Game Deflators on Twitter and at VGame Deflators on Facebook and Instagram. I got it right. And hear us on all major podcast applications.
Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Leave us reviews. Tell people that you like us because we like you. And that's just the right thing to do.
But only 5 stars. Nothing
5 stars.
less.
Nothing less.
I'm John.
I'm Ryan.
And we are
the Game Deflators.